Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's session. And today we're going to be talking about Rayse. Now, Rayse is going to be the platform you use to show your agent value to every one of your clients. Now, we have a few different things that we're going to take a look at and how we're going to be able to do that. But the place that we like to start in these training sessions is think of a time where you were working with a client and something happened where you had to save the deal for them, whether that be a last-minute negotiation on funding. Let's say the funding fell through and you had to find something new for them, or it was extra negotiations with the listing agent, or anything. It could be the buyer or the sell side. And when we talk to agents about this, most of the time they say, that's every transaction. That's always. We have to do that. So this is where we get to think about those times where we saved the deal for our clients. Now, we've heard all sorts of stories. Things like there was an endangered kind of bat in the attic, so they had to get professionals to come and remove these bats from the attic. Or there was another one where the chimney caught on fire. And they were like, the chimney, that's like the one part of the house that's supposed to handle fire. So anyway, they were able to negotiate and save this deal for their clients. They got into the home. They just had to negotiate some of the repairs. And that's the beautiful part, is you're helping somebody get into this home they want, no matter what happens, even if there are some disasters where you have to help them through those things. So keep that in your mind when we go through our presentation. Okay, a quick agenda for today is we're going to take a look at what is the value of Rayse. So why are we using this? Is this going to help you in your business? And then we're going to jump into the platform. So we'll show you how to log in. We'll get inside of Rayse, and then we'll show you all the different pieces. How is this going to work? How are you going to be able to use that? So that is today's agenda. Now, we have some stats here. So we've done a few studies over the years, and between last year and this year, we found out that buyers and sellers, about 50% of them think that you spend less than 15 to 20 hours on your transactions with your clients. And now, for us, we know that we spend way more time than that. So whether it be buyer or seller, we know that there's so much that we do for our clients throughout the transaction from the beginning to the end, but there's so much of that happens behind the curtain. They don't see it. They don't know all of the things that you're going to do for them. But one of the other things that came out of this study that we love is that 90% of clients said that they were willing to pay their agent more for full transparency into their transaction. And for us, what this shows us is that full transparency is something that our clients are asking for. They're willing to pay more for it throughout the entire transaction. And this is the problem that we keep running into, is that we get these questions now. So whether that be the buyer or the sell side, with what's happening in the industry and all of the new rules that have changed, we're getting these questions for our clients. Things like, well, what exactly are you doing for me? Or I found that home online, or why am I paying you that much? In fact, we had a couple of brokers just very recently who talked to us and said, I have clients that said, why am I paying you this? But this was such an easy transaction. Why are you making this much money? And it's the part of this that they don't understand is there's so much that happens that clients don't see. In fact, that's what this is. This is just a buy side of the transaction. There is another list of these things that's the entire sell side that are everything that we do for one of our clients. And if you handle both sides of the transaction, there's so much that we do. And on average, working with a client is between 80 and 100 hours. It's not 15 or whatever our clients thought. It's so much more than that. And so we get to show them all of that effort, all of that work, all of the things that go into this journey, not just because it's good for us to show that value, which it is, but it's also something that our clients are asking for. So this is the disconnect that we want to fix. Now, your expertise makes this appear effortless. And historically, we've done that on purpose, right? I want to take care of everything I want them to have a good experience. I don't want to have to burden them with all the things that I'm doing. But Rayse is going to make those efforts appear so that your clients get to see all of that expertise, all of that value, all of the work that we're doing for them throughout the entire journey with them. Now, we want to help agents show their value at every stage during the home buying journey. Now, we have a friend out here. His name's Joe, and out here, I mean the San Francisco Bay Area. That's where I'm from. So he was working with a client. Let me know if this sounds familiar, but he was working with a client. He starts the process of a buyer journey. They do the consultation. They go and see a handful of houses. They even make 2 unsuccessful offers. It was 35 hours. He'd spent the time to actually track how long he'd worked with him. 35 hours. And the client says, you know what? I'm actually going to buy a house from my father-in-law. And for us, it's like, oh man, that hurts. Losing a client hurts. But imagine if he was able to see all of that work, all of the things that you've already done for them. So much of the beginning part of this journey, our clients, they don't see what we're doing. There's so much that has to happen in order to get them to that contract stage or get them to where there's a lot of pieces where they have to help with all of these things. So in this process, we're able to show them all of that work. And that's going to help us do three things. So we have our presentations, both the buyer and the seller presentation. That's going to help us win new clients because it's something that we're going to take to that first meeting that we have with our clients, that first presentation where I'm going to show you, here's the entire process. Then we're going to help retain those clients. We get that stickiness with our clients as we're going through the entire process, everything from the first conversation all the way through closing. And then there's repeat and referral business. And for this, it's really hard for me to tell you value. What am I doing for you? What is that expertise? But I can show you. Here is our entire story. So we have this great closing report that's going to show you everything that we've done, all of the things that we've done throughout the entire process, the expertise, all of the effort, the late night phone calls, all of those things are going to be in our closing report for our clients to see. So we have these three things, but this is what we want. We want to win new clients, retain clients, and then get that repeat and referral business. So the first place we start is the buyer and seller presentations. And this is what we're going to take. Imagine that you're going to your first meeting with one of your clients. We're going to take this presentation to go with our clients. So we're going to show them, here's everything that you can expect over the next 45 to 60 days or however long it's going to take. Here's what you can expect. But more than that, it's going to show you what I'm going to do. What is my value? What am I going to be doing for you throughout this entire process? So we'll get to explain not just why do you need an agent, but why do you need this agent? So I get to explain all of that piece. And there's even something in here called the how I got paid slide. And there is this conversation that we have to have with clients. Now, whether it be on the sell side or the buy side, we have to talk about compensation. That's part of the process. And that can be a really awkward chat that we have with our clients. But now we get to have this really concise conversation about compensation with our clients. So now there's this piece in there that's going to make this a lot easier. And you're going to see that here in just a minute. Now, there also is the Rayse journey. This is where you are going to enter all of those things in. So you get to have your agent portal where the entire journey is going to live and where your clients are going to be. So that's your piece to this. And your clients also get their own branded dashboard. So it'll have their name, all of the homes that we've toured or the home that they're selling, and all of the things that they can expect throughout the entire process. We'll take a look at that in just a minute, but it is branded specifically for them. So it is going to be this really customized experience for every single one of your clients as we go through that process. Now, we also do have an automation that is going to help you log some of those activities. So we can put in the phone calls, the meetings, the desk work that we do for our clients. But let's say you go on a tour with one of your clients. We're going to go and see 5 or 10 different listings. I don't expect you to stop and enter something in and to Rayse every single time you make a stop. No, what we have is called the Rayse Assistant app. So what this is going to do is that it sits on your phone, and then every one of those listings that we go to, it's going to create an activity for me. It's automated. So all I have to do is turn it on, and you're going to see that show up inside of Rayse. So we do have this great automation, which is going to make this even easier to get all of those things into the platform. And this is one of my favorite parts in here, and that is the client portal. So we have this great client portal. It's going to be branded for your clients. It'll also have all of your information, your contact card that they can see in here, how many activities and outcomes we've done so far. It even has, for any of our buyer clients, the rejected homes. How many places have we gone to go see that you've rejected? So that's something that I love that piece, because a lot of people can't remember past the last 3 homes that they've gone to go see. Our CEO just bought a home. He can't remember past the last 3 homes. And this is what he's building, this platform. So it's one of those things where we get to show them all of those things. We actually had somebody that has shown 199 homes. Imagine if you had 199 rejected homes inside of that client portal. So your client can say, oh, you know what? We have actually seen a lot of the different places in this market. So we can see that. So this is a whole new client experience. So what's great about this is it's a technology that our clients are used to. And like we said, it's something they're asking for. But think about it. When you order something off of Instacart or Amazon, I know when it's ordered. I know when it's shipped. I know when it's on my way. I get to track it as it comes to my house. I get to check in on it. There's that anticipation where I'm looking for this thing that's going to show up eventually. So now we have that in real estate where our clients, they get to follow along with the entire process. And the beautiful part is it's something that they're used to. It's something that they're asking for. And it is a whole new client experience inside of real estate. Now, we do have a couple of common questions that we get asked during trainings, and that is, well, how often, let's say I'm checking off the outcomes, which you'll see in just a moment. Let's say I'm checking those off. How often are you pinging my clients? If I check a bunch off, are they getting 10 different notifications? The answer is no. We actually only send one per week, which is they get once on Monday mornings, and it says, here's everything that my agent has done for me so far. But it takes them back to the client portal, and that's something that it updates in real time. The client portal does update in real time so that anything that you enter into the client portal, they'll be able to see it right away. So if they want to continually go back to check it, they want to see it once a day, or if they check it a few times a day, it's okay. They're going to see the most current version as we go through our journey. Now, the last piece is the closing experience, and this is something that your clients get to see inside of their client portal. So it'll say here, welcome home. Here's the listing that they either just bought or that they're selling. There's the closing report in here, so it has a summary, and then all of the listings that we went to go see or the showings that we went to go see, all of that's in there. Now, what you get is this printable PDF that is, here's everything that we did together. So I get to show my clients this closing report. So the home purchase is 47 days that we took to get through this. Here's the closing credits that we negotiated. How many milestones, how many outcomes did we do? This was 81 total hours that we had. So all of that is in my closing report that I get to show to my clients. So it shows all of that value, but it also shows all the steps, all of the outcomes, all the descriptions of the outcomes that we've done with our clients. So they get to see this full picture of everything that we've done together. So it does tell that whole story as we go through it. This is like the wedding album. I get to show this is our entire story together. Now, what some agents are doing is they're taking this closing report and they're taking it to their next buyer presentation. And they're saying, do you want to know everything that's going to happen? Let me show you the buyer, the seller presentation. Here's everything that you can expect. But if you want to know everything I did for the last person, here, take this. This is everything I did for the last person that we worked with. So now you have this piece where this is all of the expertise that you can provide, that I'm going to provide to you as we go through this. So as we're working this, we want to use that to win that new business, to create and retain those clients, and then get that repeat and referral business. All right, so that is Rayse. That's what we're doing here. So now we're going to go and check out what the platform actually looks like. So this is your agent portal. So when we log in, you're going to see all of your journeys that we have in here. So we have the buyer and the seller journeys that we have. Now, just to show you the structure of a journey, now we're going to go into a little more detail how to create journeys and what the presentations look like. But just so you know, you're able to see what your clients are going to see, there is the same structure. There's 4 steps. So there's pre-listing, listing and marketing, contract and closing. This is for the sell side. For the buy side, there's consultation, tours and offers, contract and closing. And then under each one of those steps are milestones. So I can see here's my first milestone, here's my second milestone. And then under each one of those milestones are outcomes. And these are the outcomes that we're going to be able to check off. And this is really as simple as it gets. The entire journey is laid out. I just have to check these off as we go through them. So it actually is really fast to be able to use this with our clients. So a couple of seconds a day in order to check these off. Okay, so that is the structure of our journey. You can see I've got both of those here. So the first thing we'll do is create a new journey. So I'm going to click the plus button on top or the create new journey. Now, if you're logging in for the first time, there'll be a button right in the middle that says create your first journey. But we're going to create a new journey here. And we're going to see, we can use an existing client. So this is somebody that I've already put into Rayse. So I can see, here we go. Here's all my clients. I have Carol, I have Cecilia, Phyllis, all those folks. But I'm going to create a new one. And all I need is 4 things. First name, last name, email address, and phone number. So I can put in my client. Okay, so I've added in my new client. I added in their name, their email address, their phone number, and then the journey start date. So what is that date? Now, I'm going to add in today. So even if I'm going to see them for the first time, let's say tomorrow or Sunday or whenever it is, I can add in today because I'm starting the process. Now, I'm also going to pick the journey type. This person's buying a home. And then we have our template. So I'm going to pick the Rayse template. Now we'll show you how you can edit those templates in just a minute. But that's as much as it takes. We're going to create the journey, and that's it. So now I've created my new journey. I can see here's Jack. And then I have the buy side, consultation, tours and offers, contract and closing. There's my milestones, and there are my outcomes. Okay. All right, I can see my journey up on top. There it is. So I can see here are all of those different folks. Now, I've created my journey. So now what I'm going to do is create my presentation. So I'm going to go over to presentations because I'm going to go and meet with my client. Let's say it's going to be tomorrow. So let's say this is the buyer presentation. I also have seller presentation in here. So I'm going to select buyer presentation and I'm going to click that client that I just created, Jack Simons. There it is. Now you'll notice I do have some information that I have to fill out here. Now you only ever have to do this once. You'll see it pre-filled for me. But when you come in here, you fill this out once and you never have to do it again. Now this is my last success story. So the last person that I sold a home to, or they bought a home with me. Now I get to put this person in. Remember, this is this client up here, Jack. This is somebody I'm going to meet for the very first time tomorrow. So I'm not going to have a lot of this information for him. So the purchase price, square footage, bedrooms, bathrooms. So this is somebody that I've already worked with, just so you know. I can also have some market averages in there. There's the professional value and then how I got paid. Now we'll show you where all of this is going to live in the presentation, but I get to put in what is my commission rate, the percentage of referral fees and brokerage splits. Now this does stay confidential, but there's all of these things in here, which I get to show my clients. Let's say my tax rate's 30%, and I'm going to launch the presentation. So this will take you into the presentation. And the first thing you see are these cards. So it does go in a big circle. So I can see my value, consultation, tours, and offers, all of this good stuff in here. So it goes in a nice big circle. So this is where I get to sit with my clients and tell the story. Here's what we're going to do over the next couple of months. This is what it's going to look like. So I can click into that first one. It's going to be branded for you. It'll have your brokerage branding in there. It'll have your headshot. So I'm going to click into that, and this is where I'm going to start to tell that story. So what are 3 things that you should never do without an expert? Jump out of an airplane, brain surgery, and buying a home. Why? Because buyer representation is so important. And also, this isn't something you should do on your own. Now, for a lot of our clients, they don't know what they don't know, right? A lot of them don't have a reference point for what's going to happen throughout the course of this process, this journey. So they're going to have questions, things like, well, who's doing the inspection? Or how old is the roof? Or are those trees? Here's my favorite. Is that even legal? That's a good question, but that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm going to be doing for you throughout this process. So I'm going to simplify the process. We're going to give you market insights, and I'm going to be your advocate throughout this entire process. Now, my last success story. So the last person that I worked with, and here's where all that information is going to live. It was a single family home, $900,000. We did about 12 tours. We made 4 offers. It was about 80 days. There were 4 full hearts and 1 shared dream. But we're setting that expectation. Here's what the process looked like. This is what it can look like when you go through this process. But I just want you to know this is how long it took. It took about 80 days. That's the market that we live in right now, or however long it's going to be for you. But that way you get to explain that process. And then the craziest thing I've ever experienced. Remember, the first thing I asked you was, imagine a time where you saved the deal. This is that time where we get to tell our clients. So here's something that happened. Now, this is what happened to me, but whenever I talk to agents about this, it happens in every transaction. Something always happens. So this is where we get to say to our clients, you know what? It's okay. Everything's going to be all right, but this is what I'm going to help you with. We're going to get through those things together. And that's just the first card. You can see we can go to the next one here. But I can even back out, and we're going to go into this next one, consultation and tours and offers. Now, you're going to see some of those averages in here. So there's, on average, about 12 homes toured, 4 offers made, 45 days, and there's 196 outcomes. You'll even see there's 196 areas of expertise to get an offer accepted. Now, if you were to try and do this yourself, this is what it would look like. There's all of this different chaos, all these things that have to happen. Here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to take it, I'm going to put it in a really simple path to follow so that your path home becomes really clear. And here's where we get to explain the process, right? So step 1 is consultation. What do our clients think? They think we got the contract signed. That's it. Consultation done. No, there's like 16 different things that have to happen in consultation. So in home requirements, right now, we're going to go through this process. We're going to talk about the buyer presentation. We're going to get your home and neighborhood requirements. We're going to talk about Rayse. Those are the first 3 things we're going to do. Then we have to get the client commitment contract signed. Those are the rules. We got to do that now. And then we're going to set up your home search, and we're going to talk about financing as well. That's important. How much home can you afford? So we're going to do all of these things, and that's just the first meeting that we're going to have. This is our consultation process. Now, in tours and offers, we're going to go down. There's 2 milestones. For every listing that we go and see, you're going to see there is a home evaluation, right? So we're going to schedule your home tour. We're going to attend your home tour. We're going to gather data on the potential home. We're going to talk about strategy. We're going to talk to the listing agent. All of those things happen for every single listing that we go and see. So all of that's going to be in here. And we do all of that to get into an offer submission. So all of those there's like 9 things that happen for every listing. I'm going to do them all. You want to go see 10, 12, 15 listings? Okay, we'll do that. There's like 10 things that have to happen for each one, but that's okay. We do that to get to offer submission. So we find a home that we love. Is it accepted right away? Probably not. So we get to see there is some discussion, some strategy. We're going to talk to the listing agent. There might be counters and addendums. But once we do that, once we get to an accepted offer, it's going to take us to contract and closing. And we're going to go into this. Now, I'm not going to click into every one of these. That would be a really long presentation. But the last one that I want to show you here is your advocate in action. So for the buy side or for the sell side, we have to talk about compensation, right? So here it is. So how do I get paid? So let's say this home is 1.15. There we go. So $1.1 million. They're seeing this. It's a 3% commission. They're seeing your gross commission, right? $34,000. Why am I paying you that much? Well, that's actually not how much I make. So there's referral fees. We got this as a referral. There's a brokerage split that's going to remain confidential. But there's operational expenses, there's taxes and all that. And here's what I'm actually going to get paid. It's much less than that. So we get to have that informed conversation about compensation with our clients. This is a really easy way. Let me just show you the numbers. We have to talk about this. We have to get a buyer broker agreement signed. When we're on the sell side, we have to talk about our compensation. So this is a really easy way to lay all of this out for our clients. Okay, so that's the buyer presentation. There is a seller presentation as well. It shows all of those different steps, all of those things that we go through from the seller, right from the beginning. What is my value? What are we going to do together? Here's all of the things that I'm going to do. Let me set those expectations. We also have the how I got paid in there. So we get to have all those conversations. Okay, so let's jump back over to journeys. And we're going to go through the first one. We just created one. Let's go into Jack. And so the first thing that we see here are our steps, our milestones, and our outcomes in here. Now, before we jump into these outcomes, let's actually take a look at some activities. Now, this one's going to be blank. So you see we have meetings, calls, emails, and desk work that's in here. But I actually have some in here where I have some activities. So I have this journey. It's with Lauren. And I can see I've got a couple of meetings in here. We've got phone calls that we've made. And to add these in, it's really simple. So let's say the call duration was 20 minutes. That's it. That's as much as it takes. So it's tallying all of this up. And I have emails and I have desk work in here as well. Things like setting up the MLS search or email and CMA prep. All those things I do while I'm sitting at my desk. Now, we talked about this automation that's going to help us with these meetings. Now, a meeting is anytime I go out into the world and I meet with my client. But let's say I'm going on a tour with one of my clients. We have what's called the Rayse Assistant app. And let me go ahead and show you that. So it looks like this. And this is really all it does for now. So I'm going to click resume monitoring. You're going to see the yellow dot. Now it's working, right? So anytime I go out, I go to listings that are active on the MLS. It's going to have all of those listings in here. So let's say I go and visit 5 or 10 different places. So I say 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That was my day. We went and saw all these places, and some of them took a while. 87 minutes, 91, 39. We walked into this one. They said, no, we walked out. It was 12 minutes. And so for a few of these, it was quick, and a few more, it was much longer, right? So all I'm going to do is assign those to my journey. Boom. And once I do that, the whole day's logged. Took me a few seconds to do that. And that's how I can get all of these things into my journey. So now all of those will be assigned to the journey. And if you're doing a broker tour, let's say you're working with 3 or 4 different clients, I can click on one of those and then I can add these to all these different journeys, right? So I'm going to see if this is right for you. I'm working with 3 different clients right now. You know what? I'm going to put that in their journey. So they can now see all of those different places that we went to go see on their behalf. Is this right for you? Let me go and show you. Okay, so that's activities. Now, we're going to go into the journey again. And this is the outcome. So we have our tours here, consultation, tours, and offers, contract, and closing. Here's how simple it is. I'm just going to check these boxes. That's it. So now I'm going to go through this entire process and I'm going to check those boxes off. Now you'll notice for a few of those, there is that red asterisk that's in there. I'm going to put my commission percentage, right? We had to talk about compensation. How much was it? This was, let's say 3%, or there's a flat fee. If there's an expiration date, we can put that in there, but I'm going to save that. And that's all. So this is as much as it takes. So let's say we did have all that first consultation. We did all of that. So we get through this. We even set up the home search. All that's in there. So all of these are now closed, right? So now I'm going to move on to the next section. I can put in my home and neighborhood requirements. I can do that. And we're on to tours and offers. So now there are two ways for us to get listings into the tours and offers. The first is that automation. Right? So you saw activities. When I clicked on activities up here. When I assign these to a journey, that address is going to get pulled into that tours and offers section. That's for the buyer journeys. For seller journey, obviously there's only one. It's something you put in when you create the journey. But this is for the buyer journey. So I'm going to go back to our Steve Perry journey. And then we have, here they are. So here's all of our listings. And that was the first way, is under activities. The other way is this way. So I can add one here. If you don't see one on the list, all I have to do is start typing. I start to type the address. Everything's going to pull in from the MLS. This is connected to the MLS. All you have to do is start typing. It'll pull all of that in. You'll see there's the images, there's the information. All of that stuff is in here. So I have homes with offers. Now, when I put a listing in, we're going to click into that. And you're going to see here it is. So I can click in and I can start to add all of those different outcomes that we've done. So we've done home evaluation. Have we submitted an offer? Are we going to submit an offer? Now, one of the outcomes that's in here is client feedback gathered. If I need to reject a home on a buyer tour, all I have to do is check that outcome, and you'll see it'll ask you, did you like this home? Yes or no? Well, I'm going to put no because they didn't like it. It wasn't their style, right? So I'm going to select save, and you'll see that place, it just closed. It just went under rejected. There it is. So there we go. Bonita Ave. So now it's gone. It's out of our consideration. And then any of those where I clicked offers submitted, they're up here, homes with offers. Now I want to show you this part now. We're going to go through the rest of the journey here in just a second, but we have a couple of buttons up here. So you have your journey metrics. So of course we've worked 20 hours. It's been 102 days that we worked with this client, 26 activities. There's a lot of things that we've done. So at any point in time, you can come and see your own metrics. But up top here, we have the client portal. And this is anytime I send something to my client, I want to know what it looks like before I send it to them. So you can click on client portal and it'll show you this client's portal. So this is Steve. This is Steve's journey here. So we can see, hey, Steve, this is what he's going to see when he logs in. Here's going to be my brokerage branding up here. Here's my photo, my contact info. So all that's up there. You're going to see, here's the homes that we're evaluating, right? So that home I just added in, it's still for sale. This will change. That is the status. So we have all those homes from the MLS, like we just said. So here's all the information. And then any outcomes. We scheduled the home tour. We attended the home tour. We gathered data on the home. So all of those things are in here for our clients to see. So those are the homes. We've got homes with offers on them. There's those two up top. And then those rejected homes. Here's that favorite part of mine, which is here's all those. So we've done 6 so far. They probably remember 2. But this is a way for us to show them all those rejected homes. And then they get to see the journey itself. So as we're doing this, they get to see it unfold, right? 26 activities, 55 outcomes, 8 tours, 3 offers, and then the actual steps. So there's our 4 steps: consultation, tours and offers, contracts, and closing. There it is. So I can click into that. Here's my milestones, and then I can click into those and see those outcomes that we have. So all those things that we're doing for our clients, they get to follow along with that process. Now, just to show you this, because you do have this great contact card in here. There's your big headshot that we have in there, your contact info, your bio, your social profiles, even some reviews that are in here, right? So if your client goes, you know what, this is a whole new experience. I do need to share this out with my friends. And anybody else they want to send this to, they have that avenue to do so right from here. All right, so then we have contract and closing. I'm actually going to go to a seller journey now just to show you the differences. So we just saw buyer. We see that there are a few differences in here: pre-listing, marketing, contract, and closing. But what you have in seller up top are these 2 tabs up here. There's offers and showings, and home details. So offers and showings for any offers that we have, right? So Jimmy Neutron, he made an offer. So we can accept that offer on this home. Remember, I'm selling a home and we have our offers here. Now we also have our showings here. So I can add an offer or add a showing. So I can say this was shown by the listing agent, right? It was a public open. There it is. And that was last Friday. So I had that showing. It's that simple. It's now added in there. We're going to be able to see those inside of our journey here. And then there's home details. So this is a home. I added it in when I created the journey, but it wasn't on the MLS yet. Now you'll notice that this one has MLS data because there will be a button right here that says MLS sync. You click on that, it's going to sync with the MLS. It'll pull the images in. So once you actually put this on the MLS, we can sync it. It'll have all that data in there. And then this is what it's going to look like. So we're going to go to our client portal here. And it's going to show us this great client portal. So here's the home. Here's the listing that we're looking at, the information about them, the showings, the offers. They can even click into these and see those. So there they are. And then all of those different things that we're going to do, right? Pre-listing, the pre-marketing, the preparation, the staging. Here's even our what's going on with the actual journey itself. And then our journey progress. Here's our 4 steps for the sell side. So all of that is in that client portal. So if you're working on both sides of the transaction or just one, there is both the buy and sell side for your clients to look at. All right, so one of the things I do want to show you in here is you see that you have all of these milestones in here and the outcomes that we have. Now, if there, for whatever reason, there is a milestone that doesn't apply, you can click that eyeball and that's going to hide this milestone. Because in the client portal, your clients can see all of the milestones that are coming up. They can't see any of the outcomes that are coming up. Only once you've checked them off can they see the outcomes. But if you click this little button here, so for whatever reason, demand creation, we don't want that, it'll hide that milestone. So it's not going to look blank in the client portal. On the other side of that coin, let's say there's something that happens that's not part of the normal process. So let's go to our buyer journey. And let's say in the inspection portion, if we got to our contract, one of the things that we have to do is a well inspection. Now, it's something that's not part of my normal process, but if you have to do that, you can add that in. So you just click that little plus button that's right there. Anywhere on any one of those milestones, you'll see it's actually on all of them. There it is. There it is. So we can put that in here, put in your outcome description and save, and then it'll show up just like any of the other outcomes that are in there. So you can hide any of these if you have to. And then if you have to add any new ones in, you can do that as well. Okay, now imagine we're at the very end here. So we did all of the things, right? We did all 4 steps. We did all of our milestones. We've checked off all the outcomes. Here it is. Once that happens, you're going to see close journey up on top. So I can close my journey. It'll ask you, are you sure? And we can go through this. It'll say yes, and then it'll publish. But once you do that, what you're going to see is the closing report. This is your closing report. You'll notice there isn't client information on here. It's just the home. And then this is you. This is your headshot. This is your brokerage. So all of that's going to be in here. And we can see we did 4 homes, 2 offers, 1 perfect home. And then there's our summary, right? So home purchase timeline was 27 days. This one we negotiated $6,500 credits, 96 outcomes that we did just for this one person. And then it does break it out by step. So here's consultation. So all of those milestones that we did, here's home requirements. And then what did we do? We did a buyer presentation. We talked about Rayse and we got the home requirements, right? Client commitment contract. We got one of those signed. So all of those different things that we had to do. For home tours, here's one of the homes that we considered. Here's one that we rejected. So all of those things that we did throughout this entire process, let's even go down to contract. Here's the one that has the accepted offer, and then everything that we had to do throughout this entire process. We made sure that all of it was done. And this is what, 26 pages? So I get to show them the entire story. Here's what we did together when we went through this process. So that is the closing report. That's what we get to show to our clients as we go through this. Okay, so there's 2 more things that I want to show you in here. The first is that this is how we invite our clients. So once you're on your journey, let's say I just started this journey with Jack, right? I did that really fast. So we click on journeys. We're going to click on Jack. Here is our journey. And then up on top, you'll see that little paper airplane. There it is. That's how we can invite our clients. So you can click on that and you'll see invite your client here. Now, this is where you'll see invite a client. There it is. Now, one of the common questions we get is, okay, well, that's Jack. What about Jack's wife? Well, how do I add her in here? So you can add another client. So we can do that. It's the same thing. First name, last name, email, phone number. And that's all. And then she'll get her own branded portal. So it won't say Jack and Jill. It'll just have her name. So it'll just be Jill. So we can add all those folks in there. But you can have as many people as you want in here. So there's Jack. Let's say they're a married couple, and then their parents want to follow along, and their kids that are at college, they want to follow along as well. We can add all of those people in, and then we're using this to expand our sphere of influence. All of those people that'll follow along, they get to see everything as it unfolds. So the next time they're looking for an agent, they're going to come to the person they just saw do all of these things. So that's how we can invite a client. You can also share your journeys. So we can share this journey with anybody that is in our brokerage. So if I have an assistant, a TC, a team member, any of those people, if I want to invite my entire team, all I have to do is find them on this list. So we'll say it is Christian. There it is. He's on my team. I'm going to add that user. And now he's going to see this journey show up on his list, just like I see it on mine. So if you're out doing tours and you want somebody to update the journey for you, if you want them to add activities, if your TC is going to add anything that happens with the transaction, we can have all of those inside of our journey all at once. So we can make sure we share this journey out. Now, you will also have access to our whole support center, and that's actually in the bottom left-hand corner. If you need to talk to a person, we usually reply in just a couple of minutes. And then there's our academy. So if you do need any other help, you can always find it right here inside of the platform. All right. Thank you all for being here. That is our presentation. Don't hesitate to reach out if you need anything, and we will see you in there.